Hi, welcome back to the Hope to Hope Conference. This is Kim White with the My Sexy Business team. And of course, Biggie. Biggie's helping me co-host because our Dr. Cassandra Bradford Wilson ran off because she thinks she's so important in getting an award today. She is with Genesis Preferred Solutions. She is a hot mess because she left us to do this alone, but Biggie and I got this. The only thing I will say about this next session is we've had some technical difficulties, we've had some issues, and I'll just tell you, if you've ever done a conference and you've ever dealt with speakers, the best analogy I can give you is it's like herding cats. We cannot keep these ladies on track because they're having too much fun. So y'all pray for me because I am trying to keep these little speakers doing what they're supposed to be doing. And I'm telling you what, these next two are a hot mess, and they are related. They have to be because they're two peas in a pod, and they're two of the cats I'm trying to corral. Y'all welcome Dr. Mildred West and Miss Coni Meyers. Hey!
Hello. Hi. How are you?
I'm awesome, but I'm going to tell on them because I think that's what princesses should do. You know, we can't keep secrets. We don't want to keep secrets. Every time we get ready to go live, one of these two says, "Oh, now I have to get my lipstick on," and she runs off because she doesn't really want to be on here. She needs a pillow. I'm telling you guys just don't understand. It's like herding cats. Herding cats. We should hashtag, Biggie, you and I should hashtag herding cats. And Biggie,
He doesn't like cats.
Biggie's doing a good job of co-hosting with me. He's just wishing that somebody be quiet so he could get his nap. That's all he's wanting to do.
I love it.
Welcome, you two little hot messes, to the Hope to Hope Conference.
Oh, we're glad to be here.
We're totally happy to be here. Thank you for having us.
Of course. You guys are, truth is, these are two of my besties. They're two of my sweet friends, and I'm telling you, we've been through some stuff.
And friends to each other.
Well, the truth is it was kind of a setup because we're all about, collabpreneur kind of stuff. We're all about being in collaborations and relational currency. Dr. Cassandra and Roz talk about relational currency all the time. And I was trying to work it out for Dr. Mildred to get Miss in the airport because I was going to be live with y'all. Well, before I realized it, Dr. Mildred's in LA when I need her to be in Dallas. And I'm in panic mode because I'm thinking, now, how am I going to get these two together when she ran off? And so I get a text the morning of thinking, okay, I guess we're just going to have to go to plan Q. And sure enough, Dr. Mildred flies into Dallas at midnight so that she can come get Miss Coni and bring her to the Hope to Hope conference. That's how sweet she is.
No kidding.
She was a must-meet person.
Yes, she is.
I told
But also
them
the princess,
that the
had made a request.
Well, I told them the best for them is to let them meet each other because that was the best gift I could give them.
This is true.
It was a good one too.
It was a good one. We had 2.5 hours to get to know each other, and I think we
Add no sorrow, and so that's what I found.
Oh, I love it. Thank you.
It adds no sorrow. It was a great investment.
Well, another funny about these two is that they like to herd another cat that they call the princess. They try to keep me on track too. And, you know, I'm just a slippery little sucker.
It takes a herd to herd this princess.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Miss Connie, you told everybody, and it's really the truth. It takes a village to raise this princess. That's what you kept saying.
Absolutely.
So Biggie and I are here. We're excited to be here. We're a little hot, so we might pan a little bit, both of us. But we are excited that you are here with us. We have so much going on at this Hope to Hope conference. I can't believe how much is going on. Connections have been made that y'all don't even know. Like, y'all might see a few things on live, but there have been so many connections made and so many things that have come out of this. I know of 3 books that are coming from this Hope to Hope conference. I know of many, many collaborations coming from this, complete businesses. So, I mean, we're doing stuff. Don't be deceived by all this giggling and having fun. We're working.
Yeah.
We're having fun working.
That's right. That's right. Well, you two little peas in a pod, I want you to share something just quickly, because we don't have a lot of time, but I want you two to quickly share something that's a spot of vulnerability that will give somebody hope on this conference, because this whole conference is about the power that comes from vulnerability. Whether that be going through a vulnerable time, or whether it comes from being vulnerable by sharing our fears and our concerns, our emotions. But I want you two to collaborate on this and tell me about a time when you were vulnerable and how it actually came to be power in your life.
Well, while we're thinking, this is a very shift in itself, because here we are live, and we know what the agenda is, but we didn't know what our topic would be. So it makes us quite vulnerable even to sit here and be live and not know really what it is about. It is a moment when, as we kind of run through the places in our mind about a vulnerable time, people see us being vulnerable. I mean, we're actually personifying it, sort of.
I totally agree. I think just being put on the spot by the princess.
Yeah, by royalty,
and really exposing yourself live to makes you totally vulnerable. And I think that's a really important point, because we constantly are putting ourselves in positions where we become vulnerable. Yeah. And then it's what we do with that moment, that crystalline moment.
And we can rise to the occasion.
Absolutely. So when you about being on camera, your first reaction?
Well, because it was the princess making the request, there was no reason for me to even think that I might not do it.
Right.
The question was always going to be, what does she think, what value does she think I can add to this Hope to Hope conference? And so that was my main concern. Yes, I've had some experiences, and yes, all of your guests have had some magnificent experiences and come through some magnificent things. But what value am I going to add to this? And that's always important to me. Let me be a value-adding person.
Well, I had pretty much the same reaction. She called me on the phone and she says, "You need to come to Texas." And I'm like, "I'm coming to Texas?" She says, "Yeah, you need to come to Texas." And I'm going, okay, I'm not sure why I'm coming to Texas. She mentioned something about a conference, but she didn't tell me a lot about it. She just wanted me here. And when Princess says come,
Yes.
if it's at all possible, you show up.
And that's because we value you, Kim, so much. Because you value added, you have certainly been value added to both our lives. But we also know that behind, and when I said earlier in an earlier conference, presentation, silly, I mean that with the greatest respect, because you are a pusher. You are a worker. Now, Dr. Cassandra said she was a drug pusher, but the drug is adrenaline. It is energy. It is encouragement. We are pushing those things. And that's what you bring. And so we know that all of us have something in us that is supposed to be birthed into the earth. And we might not even know what it is right now. But you are that kind of person. One of your giftings is to help us dig into that. And also yours, Dr. Coni, because you make us think, get off the surface and get down into the grit. Find what is the catalyst that's going to make you move. The crystalline moment.
Crystalline moments. And that really is, every time that happens, you are allowing yourself to be vulnerable. And when you allow yourself to be vulnerable and authentic, great things happen. Yeah. You become in the present moment, and you are able to come up with things in your own mind that are going to help somebody else.
She said, when you allow yourself to be. Sometimes we are so bound by tradition or expectation or something that we're used to that we are afraid to allow ourselves. And when we allow ourselves, that creativity part does come out in us. It's a vulnerable piece.
It is. We had a fantastic conversation in the car. It was phenomenal. She was talking about her book, and though she should even be writing her book. And we had just met one another, but she was completely open with me about, she was not sure that she was going down the right path. And it turned out she was going down totally the right path.
Yeah. Well, coming from, first of all, the book to be is God Peas. And I'm glad that is the title, because it always, somebody, God Peas, what does that mean? It allows me to talk about his faithfulness to his promises. But I've started over 3 times, as you well know, Kim. But I've started for the last time, and I'm going back and picking up those pieces that were there originally. It's kind of like we talked about earlier today in a private conversation about when you're taking a test or when you're preparing for a test, what are some of those tips that you get? When you make your first choice for an answer, stick with that answer. And then when you start to go and get we'll say a dissertation committee where there are 5 different people reading it and looking at it and adding their own flavor to it, if you will, then there is where the confusion comes. So whatever that first inkling is, go with that. Be, as you said earlier, but don't change until there's really a need to change.
And also, it's to really figure out what your passion is,
yeah,
and come from your passion.
Yeah, well, that was a little struggle because having been a planned person, guided by board policy and other things, it was kind of hard for me to determine what my passion is. I said, I'm not passionate about anything. I'm not passionate about it. But of course, but that's not true. And part of her gifting is that coaching and that pulling out and helping people understand what your vision is. She kind of turned that conversation where I began to answer my own questions, and I did find out what some of those crystalline moments were that actually speak to my passion.
You two just make me proud.
Well, thank you. Thank you very much. It's because we love you.
I want to talk just briefly about one of those moments. I was just telling her earlier at lunch before all this that when my grandma died, I was probably, on my mom's side, I was probably 25. And we came from a very Christian background, but we didn't have dialogue in the house about Christ and Christian. We just went to church and those kind of routines. But when I passed through her room where she was on her deathbed and I didn't know what to say, I didn't know because one, I'd never been around anybody dying, and who am I to decide what to say to somebody who's dying? And I just simply said, God be with, God will take care of you. I love you and God will take care of you. And that was almost like a boomerang statement, because it was like, as soon as I said it, it was like she was saying it right back to me. And that feeling of her saying it right back to me has come back to me over and over again. And as I receive it, part of my passion then is to deliver that same message back to other people. The crystalline moment that supports that is, so I was 25 then, probably when I'm now 45, I'm working in Kansas City, Missouri, and I'm watching this female speaker so eloquently deliver her message. And I say to my mentor, who Dr. Estes was sitting right beside me, that's what I want to do. That is, be able to speak and deliver something that is powerful enough to change the thoughts or seed new thoughts into individuals, which is just what this lady was doing. So having that first crystalline moment of boomerang, I've got to send it back. I've got to send some message back out. And then seeing a message being sent out that triggers, that is what I want to do, moves me almost into where we're about to go, which will be my next steps, I'm guessing.
Well, and she went from saying that she didn't have a passion to about 30 minutes later figuring out what her passion truly is. And that's what crystalline moments are really all about. We have them from the time we're children, and we have these thoughts or these events and things that happen to us. And they're all planted there and put there by God for a reason. And either we take advantage of it right then and there, or it is stored away in our memory where we can pull it out when we are supposed to be doing something with it. And the beauty of them is there's always, always opportunity in those crystalline moments. And that opportunity never goes away. It sometimes will be held there until later on in life. But also, and what's going to happen now, since we've had these conversations, is you're going to be doing something, and all of a sudden you're going to be going, oh, I'm having a crystalline moment. Yeah. And then you're going to say, what's the opportunity? And it will show up. It'll just show up. And you will be there like, wow, because then you start recognizing them. It gives me, every time I talk about this, it gives me goosebumps, because it's amazing how easy it is once you really know. In my book, Crystalline Moments, I talk about my grandchildren. My one granddaughter is, she just turned 16 last. When I read the book, she was, I think, 10 at the time. When she was 7, she started having headaches at night. And out of the headache would come a fashion design. And when she was 8, she designed her first clothes. And we're talking adult clothes, not children's clothes or doll clothes. She got invited for her birthday. My son and daughter-in-law took her to the Fashion Week in Portland, which is the second largest fashion week in all of the country. Oh, wow. And they went and they got there early, and they had got their front row center seats, and the producer came over and started talking to her and invited her back the next day for the VIP night. Mm-hmm. And so she got to meet a lot of the designers on Project Runway. Well, when she was 10, Project Runway, the show Project Runway, they did a pilot program called Project Runway Threads, where they interviewed 600 kids from all around the world, and they chose 12 to be on this program. And my granddaughter was one of them. And it was because whatever passion she had when it came to fashion design, she was already seeing it. Mm-hmm. She was coming from that vision. She already has her castle picked out in England and where she's going to live, and she has her jet all planned out. She's got her life. It's totally visible to her. And as she steps into these crystalline moments, She is doing bigger and bigger, and she's got a whole line of clothing already, and she just turned 16.
Wow.
And she's competed now internationally. She's won all kinds of competitions. She went back and she competed as an emerging designer at the same fashion show the following year. And just, I mean, watching her is a great lesson for me, because sometimes when we're being vulnerable, we don't always take notice of those crystalline moments, and we don't always step into them. Mm-hmm. But observing my two granddaughters and how, you know, they haven't had all of the problems that adulthood brings us. And I always tell my clients, go back to when you were 7 years old if you don't know what to do. Mm-hmm. Or how old were you when you had that, you were like, you said 25 or something, when you had that thought of, that's what I want to do?
Yeah. Going
back and being in that timeline when we don't know what we want to do, and looking at and thinking about the crystalline moments we've had. I had 3 when I was 10. Mm-hmm. So thinking about those and figuring out what it is that we really want to do. Mm-hmm. And that will guide us to stepping into the life that God put us on this earth for.
Yeah.
Which was what your speaking is all about.
This is true. And let me just, go ahead.
Oh, go ahead.
Just because of what she was saying, I'm thinking about the speaker that I saw when I was 25. When I was like 8, 9, 10 years old, I would be an oratorical contestant at some of the church conferences and what have you. My mom would write the speech, and she would practice me with it over and over again, inflection, diction, and all of that. And I was an oratorical speech winner. And I see that now, just simply as you're holding the conversation now. That was a precursor. That was when I when I stood before the audience and I felt like I was in my element, that was a crystalline moment.
Absolutely.
Well, you know, you two are great examples of not letting things stop you. You both have had a lot of things happen in your lives. And I am proud to say that I know the backstory. And, you know, just touching on what you're saying about the kids, like the part when you were kids, I think that we all have those moments as little kids that gives us a clue as to what's coming. You know, I didn't know I would be teaching business. That wasn't something that I grew up thinking about. But I can think back when I was little and I'd line all my cousins up and make them sit. I was the teacher, and make them, torture them to listen to me tell them, you know, their lessons. And then the other thing I played, and I don't remember playing too much other than these 2 things. The other thing is I'd take all of my nanny's, her cans and stuff. I'd have to come through. I had a cash register. And so I was doing business and teaching when I was little. And I never stopped to think about that till I got really big. Thought back and thought, well, I've been doing this for all my life, and I didn't pay attention to those moments in time back then. So I don't know if our listeners have, you know, set aside some time, but think back to when you were little and think back to those things you did that told you to do it because someone, you know, drug you down a path. But what was your thing that you liked to play when you were little, or what was your thing you liked to do when you were little? Because it does hold some clues to your purpose and your passion, because we do come with that. We come with it, and then it evolves into something like what I call magical. I don't mean magic like, you know, the rabbit in the hat magic. I mean, it's incredible what can happen when we are open and aware, we're present, and, you know, we allow God to move in our lives. We allow God to take us someplace that sometimes we don't want to go, Dr. Mildred, but when we allow, but when we allow that opportunity not to pass us by, but to, you know, to press in. I think that's a really good thing for our audience right now to to know that you guys pressed in and you're on the other side of a lot of things, and that is very much giving them hope. We are out of time for this session. We'll have another session in about 30 minutes. About 4 o'clock, we'll come back on with another guest. But thank you guys for coming and being vulnerable with me. You two little cutie pies that just come instantly when I call. I love it because you're so good to me. And you know I love you.
We love you too.
We love you too, my dear. And you're particularly cute with Biggie.
Oh, Biggie. Oh, he's so sweet. Well, thank you, ladies. This is the Hope to Hope Conference. I'm Kim White with the My Sexy Business team and with Biggie and Dr. Cassandra Bradford Wilson, Genesis Preferred Solutions. She's running those streets to get that award. She's throwing me up today because she gets an award. And I don't even get an award, Biggie. I think I should get an award for, like, I don't know, with you. I think that's what I should get an award for. So anyway, you guys can come back at 4 with us some more. If you're not taking advantage of the access that you have to all these phenomenal people, again, I'm going to say you're crazy, because these people have done things. They've been through things, and they will help you. So come back and join us. This is the Hope to Hope Conference.
Loved it.
Bye-bye. Thank you.